So the urgency and the duty that we have as men and women on the land is to become as well versed in common law as we possibly can. And common law has been said a lot. This is a trite phrase, but it's common sense. Do no harm. And if you do, fix it. If you don't, then you'll be held responsible, right?
Yeah.
But ultimately, that's where we're going. So what I am encouraging people to do is to build a mutually supportive, distinct community where we help one another. We trade businesses, services, and products amongst ourselves. And we ignore the oligopoly that has been controlling us since forever, right? So, for example, I just bought a half a side of a cow, had it butchered, sealed and delivered, and I'm supporting a rancher. It's just me and him, and
Right.
his paddock of cows and so on. And I've passed on his name and so on to other people. An acupuncturist. I believe in traditional Chinese medicine, not the allopathic system. I practice the martial arts of Tai Chi and I also do Qigong. We have an acupuncturist that is a friend of mine, and I refer people to him and his wife so that people can get holistic health care. Schooling, for example. My daughter yanked her children out of school because of masking and everything else, and she homeschooled them for a year. Now she's found a hybrid homeschooling scenario, and she's happy with that. People don't, there's an acronym. It's fear is false evidence appearing real.
Right.
If people would just think through, and this is what we've been denied for so long, please wake up. If you in a neighborhood have a bunch of families with children and you hire some disaffected teachers who said, I don't want to indoctrinate kids anymore. I want to teach math. I want to teach art, whatever. You can hire them for more money than they're getting paid in the school system and influence that particular educational program, and on and on and on. I mean, there's so many examples of people that are out there. I see it as a duty to support small and medium-sized businesses that are out there that may have survived or help bring some back. People that have a value to bring to society, and we as people, we the people can help them. That's my philosophy. I yield with that.
This is why we, on WTPN, we have actually one of our organizations. We have a business-to-business network, and a lot of things we're doing is we're inviting people on the show who have local businesses, holistic businesses, to kind of take big companies out of the equation and put people together in community. Because obviously, this new republic, as you know, Floyd, is going to incorporate the community. It starts from the county up. Right. And Ed's a bit of an idealistic concept is great. And that's hopefully and where we do want to go. What pisses me off and gets me upset is that there's all this crap that's standing in our way. And there's all these people that are standing in our way of doing it. And they're confusing everybody. And we're up against this wall of deep state that's, kind of infiltrating what we, the people, are trying to do. And I was glad to see you, Floyd, that you were, in agreement with what I was saying there, because then on its pure level, it is what we need to do.
Yeah, I agree. People need more skills.
Right.
Like cutting meat, butchering meat, maybe you can get a half a cow, but can you break down a half a cow? Do you know how to break that down into all these different cuts of meat? I learned that at one time. It's been so long, I would have to, readdress it and probably watch a couple of videos to get back and learn it exactly as I was taught by a professional butcher. but like, you know, sewing, alterations, that's a skill you may need. Different tools you have around. Um, you know, can you test precious metals? You know, if you have a little precious metal kit, can you change watch batteries? You know, all these are little minute skills that, you know, down the road, they may come in handy that you can barter with. A lot of people don't realize that. I worked in a watch and jewelry store, high end. So yeah, I change watch batteries, repair watches, repair jewelry, all that stuff. I have a lot of skills. When I went to prison, I didn't go to prison and sit in the day room, play dominoes, and watch reruns of dope operas. I learned. I learned everything I could learn. It was, you know, I had a choice. And I was telling Gianna this the other night. You know, I was sentenced to 60 years in prison. And when I got there, I had a choice. I could go get this free education and go get a master's degree, no problem. Or I could fight because it was 7.5 years before I even saw daylight to even be reviewed for parole. Well, I was sitting there for 7.5 years. So I could just go get my degree and, you know, wait for 7.5 years, or do I fight? And I decided to fight. And it got even hairier when I found out that my wife had almost immediately hooked up with my best friend, um, got got arrested, got a DWI, got incarcerated. So everything that I owned that was in storage got lost. And so I wasn't getting any money from anybody. So I had to hustle and support myself. So law became my life. And that's all I did is live, breathe, eat, sleep, die, shit, fart, law. If it wasn't about law, I didn't give a fuck.
Well, you turned a bad situation into a better situation as best you could.
I turned lemons into lemonade,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm not, listen, I'm not messed up one iota about being incarcerated for 14 years and 2 months because I used it wisely. It got to the point where at the end, you know, I would look up at my cellie and go, God dang, dude, I just don't have enough time to do everything I need to do today. And I know that it sounds so ridiculous from somebody sitting here with 60 years to do, you know? Yeah. And it was, I was a busy man. I did things that I would say would probably be humanly impossible out here in the world just because of all the distractions. And I was just so laser focused that you know, I had no distractions. I put on my headphones, you know, turn on the radio, and boom. And I was just boom, lights out. I didn't care about anything else. Didn't go to church, didn't go to gym, didn't, you know, I forced myself to go to the day room and watch the Texans every Sunday, watch the Rockets occasionally when they played. And I would watch one drama series until they quit watching it. And that was my escape to get out of the cell, to get away from the law. If I wasn't reading some type of escapism book like James Patterson or Dean Koontz or Robert Ludlum or something like that, or some other technical shit. So yeah, I used it wisely. And, you know, I encourage everybody, you know, like right now, I could not tell you who's in the NBA playoffs. I don't give a crap who's in the NBA playoffs. The NFL draft's fixing to happen. You know, 10 years ago, I could have told you who all the Texans were going to draft and, you know, who they were going to trade. And yeah, I was all in it. So I don't even waste my time now because that really has no bearing on the future of humanity. All that's just surplusage that they put out there to distract you from being a living free person.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't watch network TV. I just pretty much watch videos. That's it. I watch videos. That's
And produce them. Yeah,
yeah.
I know you have another show to do, and this show has gone off the rails from where I was hoping it would go, which is fine. But while we're here and you're on the subject, it's interesting to me.
Sure. Let's
Well,
stay where you want to go.
I was going to ask
Don't
you,
worry about the other video.
I was going to ask you how you got incarcerated, and because I know there was injustice done there, and I think that is important to we the people to know what we're up against and what can happen. If you want to go into it, we can do another show on it. Whatever.
Oh, it's no big deal. I'll preface it like this, you know, we do a show on it. I don't mind talking about it. And I was telling Gianna about this the other night. Because I was telling her about my litigation history while I was there trying to get myself out. I got my third DWI, and I refused all field sobriety tests. I refused the breath test, blood test, refused everything. They arrest me. I go downtown. I'm on the video. I say, I refuse to participate in any motor skills tests on the advice of my attorney. Who's your attorney, Mr. Tarvin? Larry Longer. Boom, the video stops because I invoke my right to counsel. Okay. Well, this officer says that when I stepped out in the hallway, I finally broke down and decided I want to take the horizontal gaze and nystagmus standardized field sobriety test, which is where they shine the light in your eyes. Okay. I refused it at the scene. I refused it. And I just left the video room telling you on camera, I'm not taking any tests. But yet I step out the door and I decide, oh, we're going to take some tests. Makes no sense. So that's what he testified to on the stand. Obviously he lied. I got convicted. The DA asked for 35 years. The judge sentenced me to 60. My original trial attorney was J. Gary Trichter, who teaches DWI law at Harvard, also wrote the DWI textbook here in Texas with Troy McKinney. I know Troy McKinney, spoken to Troy McKinney, my court-appointed appeal attorney for my DWI, works with Troy McKinney, one of four attorneys with Schneider and McKinney. So I'm thinking, hey, fuck, I got a $25,000 court-appointed appeal attorney. I'm going home because now I found all these errors and just realized my attorney had no business being an attorney because he didn't do anything for me, nothing. And I had to make him stand up and object to the cop testifying about the HGN and call the cop a liar. It's like, man, that dude's lying, man. You got to call him out. Yeah, and he was just caught off surprise. But on my writ of habeas corpus on the state level, my 1107, I filed it, got the case remanded back to trial court from the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. The trial judge refused to hold the hearing within 120 days as ordered by the Court of Criminal Appeals. So when I wrote the Court of Criminal Appeals citing Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 11.54, basically anybody who's disobeying the writ of habeas corpus, the Court of Criminal Appeals is supposed to issue a capias directing any law enforcement officer in the state of Texas to arrest that person and bring them before the court to answer why they're disobeying the writ of habeas corpus. And when I filed that, the staff counsel for the Court of Criminal Appeals sent me a letter back, told me they dismissed my writ of habeas corpus without prejudice. No, they dismissed it. They didn't dismiss my case. They dismissed my writ, which is, it's a bittersweet thing because it means I can still refile it, but they just, we're going to stop the proceedings right here, Mr. Tarvin. You're trying to get us to arrest a fellow Republican judge. We're not doing that. Nope. We don't care what the law says. Nope. So anyway, that's kind of the thing about that. For people who don't know my background, back when I was younger in high school, I'll just tell you, my senior year, I barely remember it. The only reason I have a senior year picture is because out of the blue, an ex-girlfriend and classmate called me. It's like, are you going to go take pictures today? And I'm like, no. I'm hungover. I've probably been asleep 2 hours, been partying all night. She goes, no, you got to go. I'm like, no, I'm not going. Hung up, and guess who's getting me out of bed? Her. She got me out of bed, made me take a shower, blew dry my hair for me, and made me go take my senior pictures. My senior year, okay, I'm already shooting dope. I'm a junkie. I'm freebasing cocaine. I'm a raging alcoholic. I'm drinking before school, during school, after school, all night. Yeah, I'm a mess in 1979 and 1980. I had no idea what freebasing cocaine was. All I know is we're smoking cocaine and hey, it feels fucking great. And then Richard Pryor burns himself up. And I'm like, oh, that's what we're doing. Okay. Wow. This must be a real expensive habit I got here. Because I'm the only one in my high school doing it. And I'm doing it somebody that's not in high school. So in that drug fueled alcohol mess I was in for the majority of my life, I did a lot of stupid, idiotic shit. Insane, crazy, unbelievable. I don't know how many times I should be dead. And, you know, when I got out of prison, April 15th, 2016, this last time, something between January and April clicked in me. And it says, you know, you can't go out and be that guy anymore, man. That guy's, you know, nuts. He's going to get you killed or put back in prison. You're going to do the 60 on the layaway plan. And that's not what you want to do. You know, you don't want to get out, get everything, and then lose it and go back to prison and then get out, get everything, lose it, and, you know, live your life like that. And that's not what I wanted to do. So something clicked, changed, my whole life changed. And during the process of getting released, you know, I kept hearing you can reinvent yourself. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to reinvent myself. So you know, everybody knows me out here in Houston as Scotty Tarvin. Nobody knows who Floyd Pleasant Tarvin IV is. They have no idea.
No idea.
Yeah.
Well,
when I go to work, they're like, who's Floyd? And they're standing right beside me.
I appreciate you sharing all that. Ed, let's just take a minute, if we can, to kind of bring that into common law court, okay? Because I'm sitting here saying to myself, I am not an advocate of drunk driving. Obviously, a lot of people get hurt from that.
Absolutely.
However,
the bad thing.
there was no injury. There was no injury here, Ed. So I'm not, you know, an advocate again, but at the same time, if we brought this into a common law court, I don't see an injury here. How could this man have been incarcerated for what happened, Ed?
Well, the process as I comprehend it, as soon as the offender gets cited for this, the first thing that the offender must do is to say, I am, whatever your name is, a living man on the land, and this matter will be brought in front of a common law court of record. And I invoke the fifth, and that's it. So basically, they are being impeded to pursue you any further, because the matter is going to be dealt with by the common law court of record, right? Common law grand jury, rather, the common law grand jury. And it does work. I mean, I have seen it, for example, here in Florida. We have a website called statewide-commonlawgrandjury.com, and there are some pretty serious cases that have been handled there over the years. The key thing is that if there is no injury, then it is evident that the case will be dismissed. And of course, once the case is, in other words, it goes to the common law grand jury, and the jury has the duty of either finding that there is validity in the accusation and there will be a true bill, or there isn't and there's no bill. A no bill decision will be rendered, and you cannot be attacked a second time. The whole issue of double jeopardy is in your favor. If the grand jury finds that there's no bill, you're done. It's over. And usually the de facto court system is compelled to respect the grand jury.
So in essence, you're saying, hey, I'm taking myself out of your jurisdiction and I'm going over to the people's jurisdiction. And the people says, was there any injury here? Is there a nullification process of, forgiveness applicable? And more than likely they would find no guilt and there would be no incarceration or no retribution for that particular incident. Is that correct?
Yes, and most importantly, because of the decision that there is no bill, right? You cannot pursue that man or woman again for the same alleged crime.
So there you have it, Floyd. In the common law, you would have been free.
Oh yeah, because they used two prior DWIs to enhance that one to a third-degree felony. Then they used two prior felonies to enhance that to an habitual felony offender, and spank my ass. That's when they call your past catching up with you.
Okay, so we've established today that you would be a free man. You would have never done that, but you would have never had this transitional change, maybe. And now we've also established that the three of us should establish our common law grand jury as soon as possible.
Absolutely. The common law grand jury is the most powerful voice of the people on the land in the county, and you need 25 members in the community with at least 4 men and women who are either administrators or investigators that will do the thorough analysis of the affidavits and accusations and so on. So, and then it's brought to the common law grand jury for assessment as to whether there is a true bill or not. And again, out of the 25, you need 50% plus one person to render the decision whether it's a no bill or a true bill. And that's it.
So Floyd, anytime you want to start a grand jury in Texas, let us know.
Let me ask you this: why? Because Ed mentioned it being on the county level. Why does it have to just be on the county level? Why can't we have like a federal grand jury?
For state.
Covers all the states.
So that's a good question. Because all matters are local, right? You start at the county. And by the way, you're not restricted to just one grand jury per county. You can have multiple grand juries in a county. When you think of the issues that potentially you would want to handle, and let's recall what the duties of the grand jury are: defend the innocent, pursue the guilty, and always audit all functions of government, always, without any need to receive or to find any degree of corruption. So we the people have a duty to keep an eye on government functions. In other words, our servants all the time, right? So given the magnitude of the responsibilities, you can have multiple grand juries in the county, one focusing on the CAFRs, in other words, the annual budget. You can have another one focusing on education. You can have another one focusing on the electoral activity, in other words, the voting. You can have another one focusing on the sheriff, and so on. So there's a lot of work in a county. Our county here in Palm Beach is 1.5 million people with a budget that's probably somewhere around 5 billion with a B. That's a lot of work that needs to be done. And as far as the state level, you can have one or more grand juries. And at the federal level, as I don't know, that's a good question. I think that where there is a dispute between states, it is to be adjudicated by the Supreme Court, but usually they'll probably find a solution. So that's a good question, Floyd.
Well, could the federal grand jury potentially be 50 plus grand jurors, one from each state and territory as a representative, something similar to a legislative body?
Again, that's a good question. We are inspired by the Magna Carta of 1215. The grand jury, Article 61, is 25 men and women. And again, it's we the people to decide what we want to do and how we want to do it. A federal grand jury, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, you could select a chief justice. you could select a chief justice for each one of your states to be assigned to a federal grand jury. And
That may be a conflict of interest.
why do you say that?
Well, if he's a judge and he's a federal grand
No,
jury.
no. The grand jury, these are men and women like you and me
Right.
who have knowledge of common law. I'm not talking, the whole thing about the de facto,
The
right?
justice would be a federal grand jury person, correct?
That's what he's
The
saying.
chief justice in a county or a state would be a man or woman that would have the same knowledge that you and I have, right?
Right.
And it is by the decision of the peers in the grand jury or the assembly that would say, well, we want to send, Floyd or, Mary to
Right. Well,
the-
they
the
couldn't
federal-
hold they couldn't hold a position of a judgeship or a justiceship and serve on the grand jury because there may eventually be a conflict of interest.
Well,
That
the
way
other thing,
they come back and go before them.
yeah, the other thing is one of the key theorems about a grand jury and also a common law court of record, which is what we're doing. We're talking about a trial by jury ultimately, right? Is that it has to be tried by the peers of the accused. So at the federal level, it becomes a lot more difficult.
Well, not necessarily. The grand jury can assemble on a Zoom. They don't have to necessarily be face to face.
That's true.
Okay, so they can adjudicate the grand jury proceedings that are supposed to be a secret, but we can handle how.
Well, right. The grand jury proceedings must be kept secret. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Until things are resolved and then it becomes public, part of the public record. You're correct.
Exactly. So once the grand jury delivers, a no bill, which means nothing's going to happen, or if they issue a true bill, then it would go back to the jurisdiction of the offense, wherever that occurred, or the trial.
Right. It would go to, well, it depends. If it's an indictment, there's no need for a trial because the evidence is so overwhelming. It's a done deal, and the accused gets 40 days to rebut it. If they don't respond within those 40 days, on that 40th day, they have self-incriminated themselves.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So this is
if there's probable cause, which is a degree lower than indictment, then it would go to a trial by jury, and it has to be a unanimous decision by the entire jury about what the case is.
Okay. Wow, you're a wealth of knowledge on common law. I don't know that much about common law, to be honest with you.
We want you to know a lot about common law because you are a powerhouse and you know a lot about a lot of stuff. And this is probably the most important thing because you've been through the mill with the assembly process because of the state national nonsense and other things. You've been through a mill through the freaking system who incarcerated you and took away a lot of your life. And so I think it's time that we all continue this conversation. And this is a good point and a good question, Ed. At Floyd, every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m.
Yeah.
Standard Time, we have a common law training, open common law training phone call. We've been recording it, the audio, and presenting it on our WTPN network. Within the next week or so, we'll have actually videos of those. They're open for everybody to listen to around the country. But we're going to discuss this. We're going to bring this up this week. I'd like to, Ed, if you can remember. Ed sometimes hosts the call, but our friend Roger Dowdell, who's a master of this, has been doing it for years. He's an expert trainer, our mentor, and a good friend and advocate, does these trainings. So if you'd like to join us on those calls, it'd be great to have your insight and your questions because they open up, interesting things for people to think about like we just did right here. So we want to kind of maybe end on that and say, definitely we appreciate, all you've put into this conversation today and lead people to our common law training calls on Wednesday night. We'll post them below and any other information, Floyd, you want to post, about how to be found. I know you're found everywhere.
Yeah, I am just like it is behind me. The Fearless Floyd Show. Every social media platform, thefearlessfloydshow.com, at yahoo.com is my email. So yeah, I'm easy to find. My phone
And
number is
you
easy.
have like your 62,000 followers before shadow banning.
I don't know how many I have. I'm approaching 10,000. Actually, I'm approaching 10,000 subscribers on YouTube and my 600th video. So,
But that's amazing,
yeah.
considering that they are definitely restrict. I see proof because you put stuff up. And I'm like, how
Yeah.
do you have 10, 50, 500 likes and 3 people watching? It's like, what? So
Yeah. It's nuts, man. I can't. And in Telegram, it's even worse because I, when I was in Puerto Rico, I was at 2,950, 60. And then all of a sudden, I started losing members left and right,
you
all the
need to
way down. It went to,
change your name to Ann Vandersteel.
yeah, right. It went down to like 2,850. I lost like 100. And it's slowly starting to climb back up now. And what's crazy is you can go into the graph in the analytics and you can see I'm getting way more members joining than are leaving. And when people leave groups, it posts on there, so and so has left the group.
Right.
And you never see those in my Telegram. And I'm like, wow, Telegram's doing it too. This is nuts because
Well,
Telegram's supposed to be, private and secure.
yeah, I just did a short commentary the other day, and I talked a little bit about that, the shadow banning stuff on YouTube and how they restricted people. They threw them off. They're throwing people off for saying the things they don't want to say. In your case, they're throwing you off because you're telling the truth about
Yeah.
Yeah.
everybody. So it is what it is, but it's part of the.
So just one last message from my perspective as well. I would encourage everybody that's listening in to establish a county common law grand jury as soon as possible, and learn about the whole subject by participating in the conference calls, the Zoom calls that are recorded on Wednesday night. Very, very valuable knowledge to have, and it'll be very useful in the future. Thank you.
Yeah. Well,
And
Mr.
let me add to that.
Go ahead.
Okay. If you're like me in the fourth largest city in the country, one of the largest counties in the country, Harris County, Texas, probably not a good county to start in. If you're in a small country town and it's really, really corrupt, probably not the place to do that either. Okay. You want to find that middle ground county to start with where, they're not real corrupt, they're not overzealous. They'll kind of accept what you're doing. Because the last thing you want to do is everybody get thrown in jail and then y'all all scream like chickens with your head cut off, not knowing what to do and what happened and how to get out of what you're in because you've overstepped your knowledge. And that's what I don't want anybody to happen. So before you go out and, create your grand jury this week or tomorrow or next month, please make sure that you are highly trained, very knowledgeable, can answer every question thrown at you because believe me, these people are very well trained. They go to seminars to learn and get educated and know exactly what questions to tell you and ask you to trip you up and get you off your square so they can manhandle you. And
Yeah,
that's what
I agree. I agree with you 100%. Education is absolutely key.
Yeah,
I
I
agree.
agree as well. And I could say, Floyd, if you didn't have your fame and your incredibly large following, you could join us because that's our preach. That's our mantra. This is the defensive use for defensive only. And this is why these people are following Anna and these other, gurus are getting in trouble and they're getting arrested. And we've seen it before and it's going to continue to happen. But I do want to say this, Sarasota is not small. It's not as big as Palm Beach County. Sarasota County in Florida, just to let you know, they've got a pretty large assembly over there, General Assembly of the People, and they have a grand jury. And they're kind of a rich community. The politics there are difficult to come against, and they've been going against the fluoride issues, human trafficking issues, but they're not, again, attacking. They're keeping things on the defensive level. They're collecting data for when and if the military steps in, if that ever happens or when it happens, so that then they have the materials needed in the defense to go after these people at the right time. So nobody gets hurt. But we do
Yeah.
appreciate you saying that. It's really important, probably the most important thing we've said all day.
Well,
are
the
you-
other thing is, it's just not the knowing, not having the knowledge. It's really building a confidence level to be able to use the vocabulary as well, right? I hope it never comes to this, but if I had to go in front of a maritime court, I'm pretty confident I'd be able to defend myself and direct the matters, because ultimately, if a living man or woman are in that scenario, you have the right to tell that magistrate to recuse themselves because they're representing themselves in the wrong jurisdiction. It's
Floyd?
very, very key.
Floyd, you were going to say something, and we'll give you the last word here. And you were just
are you still talking to Christine Scott?
me?
Yes.
No, I don't even know who she is.
You don't know who Christine Scott is?
I don't think so.
That would be Christine Scott versus Ronald DeSantis et al.
Oh, okay, that Christine Scott. No, I'm not speaking to
And there's more than one.
her. I'm not
Yeah.
speaking to her. Thank
That
you.
Christine Scott. Yeah, I just wondered if y'all had hooked up, and you know, she needs all the help she can get. She's got the alphabet agencies up her wazoo.
Well, we'll pass that along to our people who are, you know, doing what they do better than we do.
Yeah,
So,
she's in you guys.
Yep, I got it. All right, well, thanks again, brother. We'll do this again. I'm gonna get into the other stuff that I wanted to talk about later this week.
Okay.
And I'm looking forward to your show tonight. Everybody watch Floyd's show tonight. It's gonna be awesome. I think you're really gonna enjoy some of the disclosure that's coming out about some of these people are not telling the truth. And appreciate that little rescue today. We'll get on with it, and then we'll have you back on whenever you want. Do us a favor, please feel free to share this show on your platform if you feel like it. We'd love to have the exposure and have people hear about common law. I think some of the stuff we talked to you today about was a little bit worthy of discussion and eye-opening as well. So appreciate you.
Yes, absolutely. I'll definitely mirror it. I've got a couple of videos to mirror. If you haven't seen the video that I guest hosted with Keith Little, it's a post. Yeah, he found a SEC filing in the Edgar files for a trust, and they accepted it.
Interesting.
It's extremely interesting. It got everybody's attention and seems to look as if that is the birth certificate, bond, and private security avenue.
Wow.
So this is the CCTV trust you're talking about?
Yep.
And where do we
Could you-
find
could-
that again? Who is that?
It's Keith Little. He goes by El Perro on YouTube. But
El Perro.
I did it as a post.
P
Yeah, I'm gonna-
P-E-R-O, P-L Perro, P-E-R-O,
P-E-R-O.
Keith
It
Little.
means the dog in Spanish, el perro.
Okay, well, there we have it. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much, Floyd. I'm looking forward to
you.
your show. We really appreciate you, everything you do for us, and having you here today was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Floyd. Appreciate it.
God
Thank
bless
you, Ed.
everybody. Have a good day. Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Take care. Bye, Doug.
Okay, there you have it. We the People Network. So we do want to say that the term "We the People" declares that the Constitution derives its power not from the King, the President, Congress, but from the people themselves. I want to thank everybody for today's show. I know it was a little long. We went kind of lengthy, but we do want to thank Mr. Floyd, Ed, and all of you for watching. Please share and make sure you tune in for our Wednesday night trainings, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.